Okay, welcome back to the case study of Vanitas anime review episode number 10. Yep, another anime review series to reach the double digits. Yep. Now, like in the case of last week when it comes to reviewing this series, was supposed to do the day before. Ran out of time, so I have to do it today. And it's gonna be the same case close day. I'm hoping this coming weekend it's not going to be like that. I'm really hoping not. Okay, now in the case of this episode, this one's called, of course, the 10th episode series was Cicartrice number 69. This one adapts from the opening page of chapter 16, because for some reason they skipped over this chapter last week, and they actually put this page at the start of this very episode. And then they continue on from where they left up with chapter 17, adapting from page 8, where they adapted pretty much the rest of that page and went straight all the way to the very end of the chapter, which was basically page 41, and they went through the entirety of chapter 18. Pretty much, as far as I can tell, there's exactly one chapter left to go for this entire arc, for the Catacombs arc. Yeah, for an arc that's really short, like roughly 6 chapters, they've taken about 4 episodes to cover this, which is not all that surprising. The episode starts off with a flashback. Yes, that's basically what the page, for the open page of this, basically they adapted for this episode, where you have a young Vanitas meeting the actual vampire of the Blue Moon. Well, I can tell this is actually him, because that's where he got the power from. Got the present day, where you have Vanitas talking to Dr. Medro. That's the guy's name. Very weird guy. Or he apparently has got one sleeve that's a little too long. He's got like a leather glove on the other hand. And of course, like, they're very happy. He's very happy to see him, who he claims to be. And also, like, who are these people? Like, oh yeah, these are your assistants, and they're from the cashiers. They can be your guards. And so then they basically sit down to have some tea. Yes, tea. Doesn't look like coffee per se. It could be tea. Well, actually, it looks like very brownish. It could be coffee. Given the fact it's Paris, they drink a lot of coffee there. If this was England, this would be tea. And here's the weird thing, though: does anybody take a sip of this drink? No, nobody does. Just sits on the damn table. And of course, Vanitas basically is like kind of like so happy to see him. Besides that, he's really not. He mentions that, well, the whole about mentions that he's on experiments, and also mentions about a certain patronage that he received. And of course, Vanitas asks the obvious question, "Who is it?" And he's like, "I can't tell you that." Because who it is basically behind the abductions that was mentioned just, like, I think it was just 2 episodes ago, they mentioned this. The person behind this is quite strange, to say the least. It's not exactly clear in the anime. In the manga, it's more clear. So they're chatting for a bit, and then, of course, then Dr. Medro really wanted to gouge out Vanitas' eyes. Look up, Noe stepped up, grabbed his arm, and of course, Vanitas is wondering what he's doing. Does he actually want this doctor, who actually he's got a very bad history with? Does he want him to really gouge out his eyes? The answer, no idea. Because it's never actually stated, because he doesn't really do it. And of course, they do ask the obvious question, who is the person? And of course, he doesn't want to answer it. And then, like, he goes a little crazy. He does a lot of ranting. They do ask the obvious question, why do you experiment on vampires? And it's a very good question. He says, I want to become a vampire. And that's his only reason of why he does the stuff he does, because he wants to become a vampire for some reason. Do not know why. And of course, things got a hand, and then of course, well, then, and of course, a fight obviously breaks out between, well, Noe and the cashiers against, well, Dr. Medro's, like, enhanced humans. And then, like, then we see one of the members of the Charlatan Parade Monsieur Spider. And of course, Noe remembers him because he was just seen the last arc, which was about, I think he was last seen just a few episodes back. Yeah, it was toward the end of the ball arc. And of course, not Noe, Monsieur Spider basically just drags him away and says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna destroy your lab too." And of course, like, he's very sad to see his lab go. And of course, he also mentions, of course, Dr. Medro mentions something to Vanitas that does give him get a little shock to his system. He asks him, "How's number 71 doing?" He also can refer to Vanitas as number 69. Yes, and he mentions, "Oh yeah, 71 basically is very attached to him." Of course, they do show him. It seems like it could be like a brother to him. Not really going into detail per se, but he does explore later on. Don't worry about that. On case you're curious, the manga is not very long. I mean, the I've read so far, I've only read the first 51 chapters, and you're thinking 51 chapters, and they've only got the first 18 chapters. Like, there's probably not that much. Like, what's that manga? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? It's a monthly manga, like Attack on Titan is. Yep. So, then of course we see Hirosan being banging behind a door, and it's this weird spider creature, which is known as the predatory shadow, which Vanitas doesn't know this for some reason. Excuse me, he eats things live. And of course, the reason why it is the way it is currently is because there's a curse bearer inside of it. So they try fighting it, and, well, it doesn't really much effect, and they need to go after the curse bearer. And Noe basically decides to go in himself because Vanitas was not much help. And Vanitas is asks "What are you, and what are you doing here?" He says, I'm a doctor. I'm here to help." So Noe and Vanitas hop inside of the damn thing without being digested, and very quickly cure the man of being curse bearer. The creature is destroyed, and then the laboratory itself is destroyed. And of course, well, they lead the victims to, well, the cashiers. Now, they do cut this a little bit out of the anime, where Ronald gives Vanitas and Noe a couple cloaks, like white cloaks, to get out of the actual tunnels. In the anime, they don't do that at all. Not really, no. Not really, don't. I thought it was kind of weird they actually changed that. They didn't probably get it. So he has them leave, and then not long after they leave, we have a man named Oliver showing up, who was a guy who, not like, let's say I don't know if he's like an equal partner of his. He does explain, I'll explain detail report later, and he mentioned, how silky your hair is. Like, what is up with Ronald's obsession with hair? Yep. And of course, like, he's, I've befriended a vampire, stuff like that. And of course, then we see Vanitas and Noe outside. So they took a while. They finally got outside. And of course, they chat for a bit. And of course, Vanitas let loose him his hair a bit. And of course, they relax for a bit. And then we cut to Monsieur Spider, where he's talking to some mysterious person who turns out to be Lord Revan. Yep, the guy who was just seen 2 episodes back. The uncle of the little kid who he saved during the previous arc of the series. Where apparently, possibly, he was behind the laboratory. I don't think he's behind the curse. At this point, you can't tell if he's behind the curse bearers, but he is behind the abductions. Well, he's technically the one who financed them. As for why he did this point, don't know. We'll find out in the future. And the very next episode, which of course the Wiki site didn't exactly give me what exactly I wanted with that. Now, I should point out that this series is not done by JC Staff like their series. This is done by Bones, the same company who does My Hero Academia. Yes, and next week's episode is going to be called Promise. Yes, Promise. That is the name of the next episode. And that'll be airing September 11th. yeah, that's pretty much what's going to be airing for next week's episode. But yeah, not much to say about this episode. Just really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. You kind of feel as though with this episode that when you finish watching it, that this arc is pretty much wrapped up. Mostly it looks that way, but there's still one chapter left to be adapted. Now, the arc that comes right after this one is quite lengthy. It is approximately 24 chapters, which is the Beast of Gevardar arc. Yes, unknown if they're going to start adapting it. They probably are going to start adapting this. But the thing is, like, how many more episodes are they going to do for this thing? Well, I think it was supposed to be about 12. I assume it's like 12, 13 episodes. But it all depends on the Studio Bones of how far they want to take it with it. That's the thing. I don't know how long they take it for, but will just depend. Yep. So yeah, that's it for Cycle Review. Stay tuned for next week, which will be My Hero Academia. Which finally, the next episode for that one, we're going to start doing the villains arc. You get my thoughts on the very first episode next. Okay, next video. Bye.